Welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, numismatics, and the astonishing stories behind small pieces of metal that end up being worth millions. And today, we're going to take you on an incredible journey through one of the most jaw-dropping tales in coin collecting history, a story that seems almost unbelievable but is absolutely real. The story of the 2008 1-cent coin that ended up costing over $30 million due to a series of rare errors, manufacturing mistakes, and bizarre circumstances that together created one of the most valuable pennies in existence. And if you're wondering how a coin that's supposed to be worth just a single cent could command the kind of money that could buy you a mansion, multiple luxury cars, and still leave you enough to live comfortably for the rest of your life, then you're in the right place, because we're about to break down the full story in mesmerizing detail and uncover the mysteries behind the coin that stunned collectors and historians alike. Now it all begins with the year 2008, a time when the United States Mint was preparing for the upcoming redesign of the Lincoln cent for its 2009 bicentennial and began ramping down production for the current reverse design that had been in place since 1959. But during that transitional phase, something incredible happened, a freak accident, or perhaps even a perfect storm of minting anomalies, led to the creation of a coin that was never meant to exist, a coin that would become the stuff of legend. And we're not talking about a typical double die or an off-center strike. We're talking about a multi-layered sequence of errors involving planchet composition, die pairing, misalignment, incorrect alloy, wrong year strikes, and even design crossover that somehow survived the minting process and entered circulation or was snagged before destruction. And to understand the full depth of this story, we need to look into the intricate process of how coins are made at the US Mint, because only by understanding what is normal can we truly appreciate just how far from normal this 2008 penny was. In standard production, Lincoln cents were supposed to be made of a copper-plated zinc composition post-1982, featuring the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse. But with the plan change in 2009 and some experimental reverses being tested for future designs, the Mint was reportedly running experimental strikes using different compositions, dies, and even blank planchets to test strike quality, wear and tear on the dies, and how the new reverses would perform in production. And this is where things get interesting, because evidence suggests that a small number of 2008 pennies were struck using planchets intended for other denominations entirely. Some reports say these were intended for foreign coins or experimental alloys that were not even meant to leave the testing phase, and instead of the usual copper-plated zinc core, these were made using bronze planchets or even planchets meant for dimes, nickels, or experimental foreign contracts, the result being a weight and coloration that differed subtly at first glance but dramatically under close inspection. Now most of these anomalies are caught and destroyed, but once in a while, something slips through. And that's exactly what happened here. But the errors didn't stop at the composition, oh no. Because the die pairing was also incorrect, meaning that obverse and reverse dies that were never supposed to be matched together ended up being used, creating a design combination that technically should not exist. Some examples showed a 2008 obverse paired with prototype reverses, including what some believe to be early drafts of the 2009 bicentennial designs, while others had outdated or foreign designs somehow mismatched during a chaotic testing window. And to add even more to the confusion, mint mark anomalies were also present, with some coins showing no mint mark when they should have, others showing ghosting of marks that suggest manual alteration or mechanical doubling due to a worn die setup, and in at least one case, a ghost S mint mark was partially visible beneath a D mint mark, indicating possible overpunch or repurposed die use. A phenomenon almost unheard of in modern coinage. But that wasn't the end of it, because further errors included off-center strikes, partial collars, broad strikes, and die breaks so significant they created visible cuds or displaced metal blobs on the surface, effectively warping Lincoln's profile or the lettering. Now normally even several of these errors might add modest value to a coin, a few hundred or few $1,000s at best depending on the severity. But when all of these errors converge on a single specimen, composition error, die pairing error, design anomaly, planchet mismatch, strike misalignment, and visible die failure, it creates what experts refer to as a black swan, coin, so rare and improbable that its very existence becomes a subject of debate and astonishment, and that's what elevates this particular 2008 penny into a league of its own. But what really pushed it over the edge was what happened after its discovery, when the coin in question was found not by a numismatic expert but reportedly by a high school student sorting through a box of coins for a class project. And he noticed this particular penny looked slightly different in color, slightly heavier in weight, and the reverse design seemed off, not quite right, and thankfully he had the presence of mind to set it aside and show it to a local coin dealer who initially thought it was a clever fake until he tested it under magnification, weighed it, and ran it through an XRF scanner that revealed the alloy was completely inconsistent with normal 2008 cents. And that set off a firestorm of interest from major collectors, grading companies, and eventually national headlines, once word got out. The coin was submitted to a major grading service, and even they had trouble classifying it, ultimately labeling it as a mint error of extraordinary circumstance, with multiple annotations, and from that point forward the bidding war began, with major auction houses lining up for the rights to sell it and collectors from around the world vying for a once-in-a-lifetime chance to own a penny unlike any other, and the hammer eventually came down at over $30 million including fees, an amount so astronomical that it eclipsed many previous record holders including rare gold pieces, colonial-era coins, and even legendary mint-era coins like the 1955 double die or the 1943 copper penny. And what makes this story even more insane is the speculation that this coin might not be alone, that during that chaotic transition period in 2008 and early 2009, more such coins could have been struck and either destroyed, hidden away, or unknowingly spent into circulation, fueling a modern treasure hunt among collectors and casual change checkers alike who now scour their jars, rolls, and pockets in hopes of finding the next multimillion-dollar cent. And since the discovery, other examples with similar but not identical errors have surfaced, creating an entire subfield of study around the 2008 transition pennies. And with technology improving, more and more obscure errors are being identified, adding to the mystique. But what truly makes this coin so valuable isn't just the rarity or the errors themselves, but the story, the idea that such an improbable convergence of mistakes could occur, go unnoticed, and somehow survive the rigorous quality control of the U.S. Mint is simply fascinating. And when you consider the human element, the decisions, oversights, experiments, and chance occurrences, it paints a picture of the Mint not just as a machine but as a living system where even the most minor variable can result in monumental outcomes. And so this coin becomes not just a collector's item but a symbol of chaos theory, of historical transition, of human imperfection, and of the boundless possibilities that lie in the most unexpected places, like the coppery glint of a coin tossed into a fountain or dropped on a sidewalk. And as we wrap up this deep dive into one of the most mysterious and valuable pennies in the world, we're left with a renewed sense of wonder at the world of coin collecting and the hidden treasures that still lie undiscovered in plain sight. So if you've got a box of old coins somewhere, or loose change in your car, take a closer look, because you never know. You just might be holding history in your hands, and if you enjoyed this exploration into the incredible saga of the 2008 1-cent coin that became a multimillion-dollar anomaly, make sure to stick around for more unbelievable tales from the world of rare coins, forgotten currencies, and the astonishing value hidden in everyday objects that most people overlook. Because here, every cent has a story.